What's your if you go low, I'll go lower moment? My neighbor Karen kept letting her dog poop on my lawn, then pretended not to see it when I'd wave from my window. I'd politely ask her to clean it up, and she'd act all confused, like, oh, was that my dog? This went on for months. Every single morning I'd wake up to fresh piles scattered across my front yard. My grass was dying in brown patches. It smelled absolutely horrible, and I was embarrassed to have friends over. The mailman started leaving packages on my porch instead of walking through my yard. I tried everything, putting up polite signs, asking people to clean up after their pets, talking to her nicely multiple times, even bought a pack of biodegradable poop bags and left them on her doorstep with a friendly note explaining how it was affecting my property value. Nothing worked. She'd just smile that fake sweet smile and say, dogs will be dogs. Nature calls, you know. You can't control where animals go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, this woman drove a spotless white BMW that she washed every weekend, had a perfectly manicured lawn with those little decorative garden gnomes arranged in precise rows, and would literally hose down her own driveway if a single leaf dared to land on it. She had one of those Ring doorbells and security cameras pointing in every direction, but apparently my yard was her golden retriever's personal bathroom, and she couldn't be bothered to walk 30 extra feet to let him use her own grass. I started documenting everything like a detective. Photos with timestamps, even video of her watching her golden retriever squat right in the middle of my flower bed while she scrolled through her phone, completely aware of what was happening. When I showed her the evidence, she claimed I was harassing her and violating her privacy, and threatened to call the homeowners association about my aggressive behavior. The homeowners association president happened to be her yoga buddy, so of course nothing came of my complaint. They told me it was a neighbor dispute that needed to be resolved privately. Karen actually smirked when she heard that, like she'd won some kind of victory. The absolute breaking point was my daughter Zoe's 7th birthday party. I'd spent weeks planning this perfect backyard celebration, rented a bounce house, set up picnic tables with princess tablecloths, hired a face painter, the whole 9 yards. My wife had made Zoe's favorite rainbow cake from scratch. 8 excited kids running around in their party clothes, and right in front of all the parents, little Zoe slipped and fell face first into a massive, steaming, fresh pile right by the cake table. She started sobbing hysterically, completely covered in dog mess, her new pink princess dress absolutely ruined. The smell was overwhelming. The other parents were horrified and disgusted. One mom actually threw up in my flower bed. Another family just packed up and left immediately. The face painter refused to continue working. And Karen, she was standing right there on her porch watching the whole thing unfold with her morning coffee, and she just shrugged and said, well, kids should really watch where they're stepping. That's just life. Maybe you should teach her better awareness. I wanted to scream. My daughter's birthday was completely ruined, and this woman felt zero remorse. That was it. I was absolutely done playing the polite neighbor game. That night, after everyone left and Zoe was finally bathed and calmed down, I went outside with a large bucket and collected every single piece of dog poop from my yard. And I mean every single piece. Months and months worth of accumulated evidence of Karen's entitled, selfish behavior. I'd actually been saving it all in sealed containers in my garage, stupidly hoping she'd eventually do the right thing and clean it up herself like a decent human being. At exactly 6 a.m. the next morning, while Karen was at her precious hot yoga class that she bragged about on social media every day, I carefully arranged the entire collection all over her pristine white BMW. Hood, windshield, door handles, roof, mirrors, everywhere. I even used a stick to spell out "clean up after your dog" across her windshield in perfect block letters. Then I left a handwritten note tucked under her wiper that read, dogs will be dogs. Thought you might want this back since it originally belonged to you. Nature calls, you know? Maybe you should teach your dog better awareness. XOXO, your neighbor who's done playing games. She came storming over an hour later, still in her yoga outfit, screaming about property damage and vandalism, threatening to call the police and sue me for everything I was worth. Her perfect makeup was running down her face as she pointed at her car covered in months of her own dog's mess. I just smiled sweetly and said, oh, was that your dog's poop? I had no idea. You can't control where animals go to the bathroom, right? Never had another problem. Her dog now does his business exclusively in her own perfectly manicured yard.